City Commissioners, my name is Chad Stover. I'm Policy Director of Livability, Office of the Mayor. And before we actually get into the presentation part, I would like to ask my colleague Rachel Wiggins to come up and discuss a little bit about the substitute ordinance that was submitted.
Good afternoon, Council. Rachel Wiggins, Mayor's Office. In front of you is a substitute ordinance. I thought I would briefly run through the changes and then ask Council to put it on the table for discussion. First and foremost, it changes the duration from 3 years down to 1. I think we heard loud and clear that the Council is comfortable with renewing it for 1 year. 2, there are some changes to the directives that reflect work that's currently happening underneath the current state of emergency, specifically around streamlining the review process for affordable housing, that's Directive E, and proposing code amendments that will be coming to the Planning and Sustainability Commission. Additionally, in there's a reporting requirement for the Director of the Joint Office on Homelessness as well as the Housing Director to come to Council every 6 months and give a report out on the work that's being done and give Council the opportunity to evaluate whether or not emergency is still needed. Lastly, there is a strike through a directive that that lays out anything else that was in the previous ordinance is being carried forward in this one. 99% of this ordinance is the last ordinance. The only change is that we are no longer asking the governor to declare a state of emergency, so it didn't make sense to have that directive in there.
Okay, great.
Move this substitute ordinance.
Second, to put it on the table.
Okay, so the substitute is now before us, and we will thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
And we'll go back to Over.
Thank you, Mr. Saltzman. I do have a PowerPoint, and I would like to hand out, I made some hard copy handouts that will coincide with what you see on the screen. And I will hand these to Carla.
President, do we need to remind folks to?
Yes, if you agree with the speaker or disagree with the speaker, please don't verbalize those concerns, but use your hands. Hands up, thumbs down. Yeah, no yays. Okay. Over. Take it away.
Good afternoon. The City of Portland and regional partners have taken extraordinary steps and made unprecedented progress in addressing livability issues associated with homelessness, including dedicating $356.35 million to affordable housing, rent assistance, homelessness outreach, and related programs. The tools provided within the state of emergency in housing and homelessness remain necessary to address Portland's crisis. Under a state of emergency in housing and homelessness, Portland has established regional partnerships, $20 million investment in the creation of city-county regional partnerships such as A Home for Everyone and the Joint Office of Homeless Services. We've created new tenant protections, new regulations requiring landlords to provide tenants with 90-day notices for no-cause evictions and 90-day notices for potential rent increases of 5% or more. We've dedicated over $500 million toward permanent affordable housing, $67 million from increased urban renewal tax increment financing set aside to 45%, resulting in $284 million to affordable housing over 10 years. $1.2 million in lodging taxes from short-term rentals dedicated to affordable housing. $48.4 million additional Portland Housing Bureau funding in the fiscal year 2015-2016 budget. $8 million from 1% construction excise tax on residential and commercial construction. Referred to an affordable housing bond to the November ballot for voters to decide whether to raise an additional $258 million for affordable housing. Some of the actions. When it comes to shelters, we opened up the Sears shelter and the Menashe Peace Shelter, both temporary, now closed. We opened the Hanson shelter, opened on July 22nd, which includes 200 beds. The Portland Gresham Board Relief Shelter will be opening early September, and that includes 90 beds. And then then the McLaughlin Resource Center, which will also be opening in early November, which includes 120 beds. A note about this, once we get these two buildings open, we will be at 475 shelter beds out of the 650 shelter bed goal that we set to accomplish by the end of the 2017 fiscal year. So we'll have about 175 more beds to go once we get those two shelters opened up. We included opening of the First Congregational Church, which had 13 beds, followed by Rose City United Methodist, which has 25 beds. So it turns out the First Congregational Church sunset. So once the Rose City United Methodist opened up, we got 25 new beds. So that's not on top of the 13. The 25 replaced the 13 and then added 12 more. In January of 2015, we set out a goal to house 695 homeless veterans, and we achieved that by December of 2016. Also during the past year, we've, as the mayor pointed out, we've been engaging in a lot of intentional experimentation. We've created new innovative pilot programs such as the Homelessness Toolkit. This is an online resource for Portlanders to receive information and updates on homelessness policies, services, and future programming. We started the One Point of Contact program. This is a reporting tool to streamline public reporting of livability issues related to homelessness camping, regardless of jurisdiction. There have been on average 280 reports per week and 6,000 to date. Since October of 2015, when we began our state of emergency, we've conducted approximately 186 campsite cleanups. We have the sanitation pilot. Portable toilets and dumpsters have been placed in strategic areas around the city that are in need of sanitation services. This reduces human waste on the public right-of-way and in other areas. We began the day storage pilot. This includes 2 storage containers that include portable toilets, needle containers, lighting, porta potties. These are 53-foot cargo containers that have been retrofitted with cubicle space. One of them has ended up at the Steel Bridge. The other one has been at the Hazelnut Grove camp. There was actually a story on KGW today talking about this and highlighting some of the successes. Again, a pilot program. Lessons learned here initially met with a lot of questions from the community, but has proven to be successful so far.